Hey, hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for our Winter Wonderland holiday event. My name is Kalia, and I've been working as a publishing assistant for Renaissance for the past few months, and I'm really excited to be here and hosting today. I will just give a quick little disclaimer. Today's events are for an older audience. There will be some swearing and some mature topics, so viewers' discretion is advised. I'm also joined today by Molly, with whom I've been working closely and planning this event. So, hi, Molly.
Hi, hello everyone. Most of you already know that I'm Molly. I'm going to be mostly sitting in the background for this one, but if anyone has a response, gets a response in the chat, that's me. So just so you know, otherwise I'll be pretty invisible. So I'll turn it back to Kalia.
Thank you. Before we begin, I did just want to take a quick moment to share some links to some really wonderful Indigenous charities that are fighting for mental health and medical aid, clean water, housing, youth programming, as well as educational and financial support in Indigenous communities across the country. It's always a good time to see what we can do to help our communities and those around us, but especially with the holidays coming up where there's an emphasis on, the gift of giving, there's no time like the present to see what we can do to give back to these communities and get involved. So we're just going to pop those links into the chat for you to access. So we'll get that there in just a second. And then also really quickly before we begin, we'd like to play a game of bingo with you all today. So a copy of the bingo sheet can be found on the Renaissance Press Facebook post for the event today. But I will also share my screen really quick, just so you can screenshot it if you wish to play along. So just a second here. There we go. All right, so I'll just give everybody a second to screenshot that. Like I said, if you want to play along, it's there. And then if you can't access it here for some reason, it is also on the Facebook post too. So I'll leave that for just a second. And then I think we're okay there. So if you do wish to play along with us, you just sort of scratch the boxes off as we go. You'll follow along with us. As everyone has the same card, just be sure to pay attention and say bingo in the chat as soon as you win or as soon as you get it, because the first person to do so will be selected as the winner for each line. And we are playing for 4 wins today. So if you happen to get 1 line, you'll win a copy of A Lethal Proposal by Joan Donaldson Yarmy. If you win 2 lines, you'll get a copy of Hunting a Sea Glass Heart by Carolyn Sharon. If you win 3 lines, you'll get a copy of any of the books discussed today. It's your choice, so you'll just let us know which one you'd like. And then if you win a blackout, which is the entire card, you get to pick any book from Renaissance of your choice. Same thing, you just let us know what you'd like. And then to keep it fair to everyone, you can only win 1 bingo. So just like I said, follow along with us and then call it as soon as you get it. Okay, so today's event is based on our selections for this year's gift guide. Each author and story brings such a uniqueness and a light to the table, and we're so grateful to have such an exciting selection of books for you all. And so I won't keep you waiting. I'll show you the gift guide. Again, I'll just share my screen with that. So just 1 second here. There it is. Okay, so as you can see, each of the selections here they're in 4 categories. The first category is space. The second category is self-discovery. The third is mystery, and the fourth is adventure. And so the books we've selected are Spaced by C.L. Carey, The Infinite Heist by Stephen Graham King, and then in self-discovery, we've got Little Joe by Stephanie Cast, and Consensually Complicated by Neve Norwood. And then for mystery, we have A Lethal Proposal by Joan Donaldson Yarmy. And then You Would Have Done It Too by Heather Chambers. And then for adventure, we've got Monsters, Incidental Wedding Guests by Jen and Eric Demaray. And then Hunting a Sea Glass Heart by Carolyn Sharon. So I'm just going to take that back down now and we'll get right into it. So we'll jump right into space with The Infinite Heist by Stephen Graham King. This is the 5th book in King's Maverick Heart Cycle series, and the description reads: When one of their closest allies disappears without a trace and in impossible circumstances, the Maverick Heart crew is soon on the trail. But they're already at a disadvantage, for one of their own has gone missing too, leaving them with only the merest of clues to unravel the mystery. The race is on to solve the baffling disappearances, running from the loneliest, coldest corners of space into the heart of human civilization and beyond. Now it's up to Rick and the crew to find out who's pulling the strings and bring the lost home safely, if they can. For their investigation soon reveals that they and their vanished friends are merely pawns in a vast and diabolical plot that threatens to tear through worlds across the Pan-Galactum and across the walls of reality itself. So, like I said, this is the 5th book in the series. So if you want to check this one out and the others in the series, I would definitely recommend it. And then next up in the space category, we have Spaced by C.L. Carey, aka Christina Robbins. And I will just read the description again here. Only 50 Earthlings remain in the galaxy, and I hate every one of them. Shanae, a Martian teen, finds herself floating in a tin can high above Mars on the day everything blew up, literally. She should be apprenticing to become a master engineer, a most coveted position only awarded to exceptional minds by the mysterious board who governs the colony on the Red Planet. Martians develop the technology that runs the colony, but Earthlings are kept separate, used only for manual labor. That's how it's always been. Shanae was just getting settled on the engineering ship with her AI companion, about to meet her mentor and the only other Martian on board, when the colony on Mars burns to the ground, wiping out her entire civilization. Now, Shanae has no choice but to join a group of Earthlings who have taken command of the ship for them all to survive. Only she's not sure if she can trust Earthlings to do anything right, especially these rebels. As Shanae and the rebels search other dead cryoships for supplies, they learn more about the truth behind the disaster that befell the colony and come to realize nothing is as it seems. So that one is Spaced. And Christina has sent us a little holiday short to read. So I'm just going to grab that too. It is titled, What the Fuck is Christmas by C.L. Carey. Shanae and Josiah sat at one of the metal tables in the empty ship dining hall, both absorbed in their data pads. I was puttering around, getting trays of nutrition paste for them to eat, their beeps and whirls breaking the silence as mechanical appendages came out of their round body to assist with the task. White, shiny doors swished open silently as Emery walked in with a pleased smile on his usually scowling face. He looked around the cavernous room. Seeing his brother, he headed over and dropped a data pad into Josiah's lap. Happy Christmas, he said, sitting down on the bench sideways, picking up the nutrition pack A had just put on the table in front of Josiah, grimacing as he sucked down the contents. I, who didn't actually breathe, made what looked like a sigh with her giant eye and went back over to the dispenser to get more paste packets. Shanae looked sharply over her data pad and asked, "What the fuck is Christmas and why is it happy?" Both brothers looked at each other and burst out laughing. Shanae glared at them until they stopped and Josiah said, "It's an old Earth holiday that started with this religious group calling themselves Christians when they made up the story of the birth of their god, or the son of their god. I don't know the religious details, but eventually it became a time of year when Earthlings would express how much they loved each other by buying gifts. So Earthlings express love through commerce once a year? Got it. No, they express love a lot of ways, but just this one time of the year, Emery burst in, and birthdays and special anniversaries. Yeah, those too, Josiah continued on. So you'd buy presents and there was this big meal and you got together with family. The Earth was pretty big, so not all families lived near each other. So this was an excuse for everyone to come together and be merry. Don't forget about Santa Claus, Emery said with a smirk. Josiah rolled his eyes. Oh yeah, and Dad told us they made up this story about some guy. He was an elf where he had elves that worked making gifts who only works once a year and delivers presents on a flying sleigh. Shanae looked absolutely confused. Presents? Like as in the time we are currently in? Josiah said, no, it's another word for gifts. A lot of Earthling language, well, the one we still speak, has many words with alternate meanings. Shanae gave her patented, aggravated sigh and said, I don't even know what half of those words mean. She continued to look puzzled and asked, Emery dropping that data pad into your hands means he loves you? Emery went red, saying very quickly, no, of course I care for him. He's my family. It's just something we say when we give each other something that we know will make the other happy. It's not like we actually celebrate Christmas. Just think of it like another weird Earthling idiom or saying. Shanae looked at I, who had brought over more nutrient paste. I cocked her head as if listening to something. She beeped to life. I have gone through some network records, and although it seems that Christmas, or at least the time of year, was chosen to coincide with a pagan holiday called Yule, Santa Claus, or at least the image of him, was a very late 19th century importation to the North Americas by Dutch immigrants. Sorry, Shanae, not to be more clear. It is very complicated and has something to do later with a popular soda pop company that made the image of him complete. But yes, he also apparently was known for judging whether people were good or naughty. It seems to be a very convoluted way to sell more toys to children. Shanae looked accusingly at the brothers. So I was right about the commerce part. Emery looked at Josiah and shrugged. She's your Martian. You explain all that to her. I'm going to go find my wife and give her a gift of my own. He wiggled his eyebrows and set off with Josiah making a gross face behind his back. What gift is he going to give her? Another data pad? Shanae asked as Josiah turned red. Shanae, is it okay if we skip that question and I answer your other ones, which, while very lengthy, will be much easier for me to answer than what gift my brother is giving his wife? He shuddered, as any teenager would when faced with the idea of grown-up sex. Now, where do I begin? First off, yes and no to commerce. It didn't start out that way, but what I think I love about it most is that for one day, everyone is kind to each other. One day when family matters more than everything bad in the world. One day when it's considered peace on earth. That's what I love most about the stories my dad told us about Christmas. And eventually, everyone saw it that way. No matter your religion or race, on that day, it was about family and love. And I wish we could have a day like it. I hope wherever we end up, we will have a special day to just be happy and feel love, whether it's the love of God or the love of family. They, the former Earthlings, had something special. So I guess at the end of the day, as you Earthlings like to say, it was a way to bring joy and happiness for one day a year, a time to stop being so stressed about life and just enjoy being with family, or found family, or people you loved. Okay, I think I like Christmas. Merry Christmas, Josiah, she said, pushing the data pad whose code she had just cracked over to him. Josiah handed her his data pad and said, and goodwill to all people. The end. And a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you and yours. Thank you, Christina. That was so fun. I love that one personally. It was really good. Um, love all of the stuff with Shanae and I. So I'm very excited. That does conclude Space, though. So that was The Infinite Heist by Stephen Graham King and Spaced by C.L. Carey. So please go and check those out. And then that means up next is Personal Discovery. And we'll be starting with Little Joe by Stephanie Cast. So the description for that is: at the age of 7, Joe was a part of a cruise ship disaster that resulted in the death of his parents and the separation from him and his 3 older siblings. After 14 years of a different life, Joe opens his mail to see an invitation to his sister's wedding. Before he knows it, Joe begins to struggle finding a balance between his old and new life. With constant night terrors and the inability to move on from the loss of his parents, Joe's troubles start to consume him. Joe must find a way to incorporate his old life into his new life and accept the things he cannot control. We have all grown up with tales of survival, but the question little Joe answers is, what happens after the island? So I think Stephanie has sent us a holiday reading as well. So
She
I'll
has
pass it over to
indeed.
you. Wonderful.
And before I get started, I will say congratulations to DLP Art and Stories for your bingo. We have already connected in the chat.
Yay.
For anybody that wins, what I'll ask is, well, email us to that email address I've listed in the chat, because of course our YouTube names aren't always the same as our real names. So if you don't email me, I cannot find you. As well, I'll just ask that you let us know whether you want a physical copy or an ebook copy. But I will say that with the Canada Post strike, the physical copy might take a bit. If you want a physical copy, we will absolutely get you one. Just keep in mind that it might take a little bit longer. With that, sorry to get off topic. With that, I will get into Little Gavin, which is a Christmas-themed short story centered or related to the world of Little Joe by Stephanie Cast. 'Twas the night before Christmas in Dorchester Harbor. Not a single person stirred, not even a barber. Scotty kicked his foot in the snowbank, frustrated. Sally was right. Not a single hairdresser in the city was open. It was 7:30 on the 23rd of December. Who was he kidding, thinking someone would be open? Alicia would kill him. She told him a month ago that he needed to look good for these photos. Pristine was the word she used. Pristine. He hated that word. He checked his phone. Alicia had planned a photography session in the park with the family for 8. There was no chance he'd get it done in time. Well, at least he shaved. A month ago, he was enjoying the mustache and beard. Joe and Tori had their daughter over 6 months ago, and with Alicia and Raymond's son now being 3, Alicia and Tori thought it would be the perfect time to gather everyone together to get pictures in snow. There was a beautiful light display in Dorchester Harbors Park, and the photographer, a friend of Sally's, said it would be a perfect location for candid photos. Scotty turned on his heels and headed towards the park. If he got in shit for not getting his hair cut, he'd blame it on the bar. He had been working until about 7. It was hard to find his family when he got to the park. Although the park was huge and filled with lights and people, they stuck out like sore thumbs. They were all cuddled together, chattering away about God knows what. A plump 6-month-old Sherry was perched atop Tori's hips with a grumpy face and bright red, chubby cheeks. She was shoved in a pink, puffy snowsuit, and she seemed as unimpressed to be there as Scotty was. He couldn't quite figure out who Sherry looked like more. Some days she giggled and laughed with the energy of her mother, but other days she'd stare stoic, almost as if she was contemplating her own existence, sort of like Joe. She had bright green eyes, but she was still bald as a cue ball. Gavin, on the other hand, Alicia and Raymond's son, got Alicia's genetics through and through. Gavin was a mini version of her, which indelibly meant he was a mini version of Scotty. Alicia and Gavin were oohing and awing over all the lights that surrounded them. Sally dug in her pockets to find her phone. Scotty knew she was about to call him in frustration over his lateness, so he sprinted through the couple inches of snow. "Sorry I'm late," he called. "Uncle Scotty," Gavin screeched, running to him in his oversized snow boots. "You're late," the comment came from Megan as Scotty hoisted Gavin up on his hip. "It's 7:53. I believe I'm early." He gave a grin to his nephew, who cackled loudly. "Come on, let's get this over with," Sally muttered. "Hey, why are you so grumpy?" Scotty asked, plopping Gavin back on the ground. It wasn't like Sally to be the negative one, and at family functions, that was his job. Sally frowned. "What?" Joe asked. He touched her shoulder, worried. "I feel stupid coming to this," she sighed. "You all are families now, and I'm alone." "Hey, you brought the photographer," Scotty said, trying to make light of the situation. "Shut up, Scotty," she growled. "Whoa, I was just joking." "It's okay," Tori grabbed Sally with a gloved hand and squeezed. "Not the time, Scotty," Megan added. "Also, you were supposed to get your hair cut." "He looks fine," Joe chimed in. "I'm sure we'll get new pictures next year anyway." Raymond tossed his hand nonchalantly. "It's no big deal." "It is a big deal," Alicia turned to her husband, annoyed. And within 30 seconds of them all being together, they were chattering like monkeys, arguing about nothing. "Hi, Sally," the photographer's voice broke the chaos. "Hi, Debbie," she smiled. "Debbie, this is everyone." "Looks like we're all here." Debbie did a quick head count. "All we're missing is the boy. Was he not able to make it today?" Alicia and Raymond's necks were rubber. Gavin had disappeared. "Who was with him last?" Tori screamed, head whipping around with Sherry grumbling in her arms. Scotty's heart dropped. "It was just us. No one was here," Joe yelled, jumping to the conclusion that everyone was thinking, the fear that he had been taken. "He had to have wandered off." Alicia's voice was wavering, trying to keep it together. "He's been gaining a lot of new freedom lately." They split up and ran through the park, calling his name. "Should we call the police?" Joe caught up with Scotty, panting. Scotty didn't answer. He felt horribly. This was his fault. They walked closer to the light show where all the people were gathered. Scotty scanned the crowd for little Gavin. He was a spitting image of what he looked like as a boy. It wouldn't be hard to find him. His pocket lit up with an incoming call. Alicia's name on the front made his stomach tighten. Did you find him? Scotty shouted in the phone. Walk closer to the light show and look to your left. Her voice was calm. Scotty did what she said and turned his head. There, under a canopy of light, sat Santa Claus on a big red chair. On top of his lap and nattering away about something was little Gavin. Megan, Tori, and Sherry stood next to Scotty and Joe. Thank God, Megan gasped when she saw Gavin get off Santa's knee and head to the arms of his parents. Guess me not getting my hair cut isn't the worst thing that happened today, Scotty grinned. Sherry let out a hysterical screech of laughter. See, she thinks I'm funny. He stuck his finger into his niece's belly. At least someone does, Joe rolled his eyes. Well, he wasn't gone very long, Tori tried to calm herself. Yeah, it could have been worse. He could have been stranded on a deserted island, Joe shrugged. What, too soon? Scotty let out a cackle. Is 20 years too soon? The end.
Yay! Thank you very much for reading that, and thank you so much to Stephanie for submitting that. Yeah, that was so good. I love what, too soon? And then so next up for our personal discovery section, we've got Consensually Complicated by Neve Norwood. And so the description for that is Bells doesn't just fall in love, she dives into it enthusiastically. Although her romantic endeavors usually leave her with emotional damage, she is desperate to find inspiration, a muse for her paintings, for her next piece. Mark, her crush turned friends with benefits, sets her up on a date with a former link. The date in question is Narisha, model and muse extraordinaire. Bells is immediately smitten. She decides to take a risk for her new fixation by stepping into the unknown waters of polyamory. So, like I said before, please check out Little Joe and then also Consensually Complicated by Neve Norwood. Both of these for under our personal discovery section of the gift guide. And we will be moving on to mystery now. So we'll be starting with A Lethal Proposal by Joan Donaldson Yarmy. And the description is Jenna Hamilton and Adam Olson co-own a bookstore on Granville Island, Vancouver. Jenna is also a dating coach who helps people deal with their qualms about dating. They attend the engagement party of Jenna's friend Carla and her fiance Bruce. Carla is also one of Jenna's clients and has been unlucky in love in the past. Her first two fiancés died, one in an accident and one in an unsolved murder before the weddings could take place. But Carla is hoping the third time will be the charm. The party is a huge success, but shortly after Jenna arrives home, she receives a frantic call from Carla. As she and the wedding party prepared to leave, she found a note telling Bruce to dump her or die. Since Jenna and Adam had been influential in uncovering a killer in the previous spring, Carla begs them to find out who left the note and why that person would threaten Bruce. So Joan has also sent us a holiday reading, and it is titled The Third Date. So I'm just going to grab that too. Yes, okay, so The Third Date by Joan Donaldson Yarmy. So your relationship with Stan has reached its third date, right? Adam said, leaning against the counter. Jenna Hamilton looked at him and smiled. Yes, this evening. He got back from his sister's last night. According to your blog, a third date is when you think about inviting the person to your bed, right? Jenna felt herself blush. Besides co-owning the novel bookstore on Granville Island with Adam Olson, she was also a dating coach who advised people on the etiquette of the first date, second date, and even the third date. She spoke about how they could dress, how to flirt, and how and when to touch. She even gave a list of subjects for conversation. I doubt that will happen tonight. Jenna unlocked the door and changed the close sign to open. We're going to the hockey game, and I open the store tomorrow morning. I could come in for you. Adam turned on the holiday music and jingle bells began to play. No, I'll be here. I'll wait for your text in the morning, Adam grinned. Theirs was the only bookstore in this area of Vancouver and very popular. Before the usual influx of morning customers arrived, Jenna went to the office and to outline her latest article for her dating coach blog. Today it would be about how to spot a serial con man on dating sites. Was he too eager to have a relationship? Did he want you to spend all of your time with him? Did he seem to have a lot of money without really having a steady job? Did he go out of town often to see sick or injured family, especially around the holidays? Half an hour later, Jenna went back to the front. There were a number of people wandering around the aisles. Some had books in their hands, some were looking at knickknacks, and a few were browsing the magazines. Adam was at one of the tills ringing up a sale. Jenna went and bagged the books for him. Hello. Jenna looked up to see Stan just inside the door. I hope I'm not bothering you. No bother, Jenna smiled, although she wondered why he was there. How's your sister's foot? Better. She's getting used to the cast. Stan looked around the store. I was just wondering if you had a few minutes to grab lunch with me. It's a little early, plus we have a shop full of customers. I can't leave Adam alone right now. Oh, Stan looked crestfallen. I kind of thought. Jenna knew he expected her to feel some guilt, but she didn't. He couldn't just come in and assume she would drop everything to go with him. I'll see you this evening, as we planned, she said firmly. Okay, Stan turned and left the store. I probably could have managed, Adam said, and Michelle will be here soon for her shift. I know, but I didn't like the way he presumed I should just walk out of my store because he wanted me to. The rest of the day was busy with customers buying books as holiday gifts. After Michelle arrived, Jenna went back to her office and wrote her blog. She posted it and returned to the front of the store in time to help a customer find the murder mystery You Would Have Done It Too, published by Renaissance Press. Michelle was on one till and Adam was helping a customer, so she operated the other till until the line of customers disappeared. I've got to meet Stan at the hockey game, Jenna said, when they'd closed up and put the day's receipts in the safe. See you in the morning, Adam said with a wink. Jenna found a place to park a few blocks from the arena. She didn't mind. After being inside all day, it felt good to get a little exercise. Plus, she liked all of the colorful Christmas decorations on the streets. She entered the arena and saw Stan waiting. They went through the gates and to the nearest food outlet where they each ordered poutine and then found their seats. The Canucks took the game 5-3, and Jenna and Stan worked their way through the happy crowd out to the street. Can I get a ride home with you? Stan asked. I had to take my car into the shop today. Sure, my vehicle is a few blocks from here. Jenna unlocked her car when they got there and climbed in. Stan gave her his address and they discussed the game on the drive. Would you like to come up for a drink? Stan asked when Jenna stopped in front of his apartment building. Jenna thought about Adam's statement about it being their third date and agreed. When he opened the door to let her in, she was a little disappointed that he didn't have any Christmas decorations up, not even a tree. Christmas Eve was just a week away. Stan took his wallet from his pants pocket and put it and his apartment keys in the dish on the stand by the door. He mixed them each a drink and they sat on the couch. I have to go back to my sister's in a couple of days, Stan said. I might be gone until the new year. She's lucky she's got you to help her. Stan put his glass down on the table and leaned towards Jenna. He brushed her lips with his and then carried into a full-blown kiss. Jenna returned the kiss before putting her hand on his chest. I have some condoms in my car. Stan's eyes lit up. Where are your keys? I'll go and get them. Jenna reached for her purse and dug out her keys. They're in the glove compartment. As soon as Stan was out the door, Jenna went to his wallet and opened it. She found a driver's license in a different name and 2 credit cards in a woman's name. Then she shivered. There was even a credit card in her name. She put it in her pocket and then took her cell phone from her purse and dialed a number. You were right, Olivia, Jenna said when the woman answered. He's got a driver's license under the name Robert Davidson and 2 credit cards under your name. One is with Toronto Dominion and the other is with Scotiabank. My name? Oh my God. He paid for our hockey game tickets and our meal with a credit card. I would contact those banks. I was right to trust my feelings about our relationship. The way he had to go and look after his sick mother or all the times he had to cancel our plans. He probably was at some other girlfriend's place. As my dating coach, I'm glad I talked with you. I figured that since you've solved mysteries, you'd be able to help me. Thanks. I just wonder how many other women he's fooled, Jenna mused as she hung up. Maybe I'll have to find out. The end. Thank you so much, Joan. That was very cool. Again, so A Lethal Proposal by Joan Donaldson Yarmy is on the website here and it's on our gift guide. And next up we have You Would Have Done It Too by Heather Chambers. And the description is, you know things are bad when you wished your only concern was sleepwalking off a balcony straight into a killer's knife. Felix's college life is already a mess. Failing classes, hiding his gay crush on his best friend, and keeping his bullies from discovering he dances with pizza boxes in his sleep. But now, those same bullies are dropping like flies. And contrary to campus opinion and the damning blood in his bathroom, Felix didn't do it. As the body count rises, someone seems to be shadowing his every move. If he says the wrong thing, trusts the wrong person, he might not be the only one who won't make it to graduation. Is someone framing him to make him their last victim, or are they trying to protect him from something even worse? Discover the chilling twists, and you would have done it too, where survival means questioning everyone, including yourself. So thank you to both Heather and Joan. And that concludes the mystery portion. So we are on to the last section of the gift guide, which is adventure. So first up, we have Monsters, Incidental Wedding Guests by Jen and Eric Desmarais. And this is the second book of 4 in their Gates of Westmeath series. And so same thing, I'll read the description for you. The week before Kennedy and Jason's wedding is busy. There are cake tastings, dress fittings, a formal ball, and, as their superhero personas, the Phantom and the Wraith, fighting monsters. These behemoths are destructive, smell like snack food, and are after only one thing: Doortech Industries technology. Adding to the chaos are their friends and families. Jason's grandmother has returned after having been missing for half a century. Kennedy's mom is dead set on keeping things traditional, and Jason's best friend is kidnapped before the rehearsal. Kennedy and Jason just want to get married, preferably before the next monster attack. And I believe Jen and Eric have also shared a holiday short with us. So I will pass it back over to Molly.
Hello, it's me again. I've been having so much fun listening to the stories and the descriptions that I forgot that I had a second reading to do. I am prepared though, don't worry. So this one is titled O Tannenbaum, but it's spelled Tannen hyphen B-O-M-B. So that kind of bomb. Alrighty, Saturday, the 13th of December, 2003, Westmeath, Ontario. They were halfway down the corridor to the cafeteria before the music reached their ears. Maybe that'll be you in a few years, Kennedy said to her teenage brother, Tommy. He cocked his head, listening. Nah, that's a string quartet. I don't plan on changing instruments. Jason chuckled. They don't get the same band year after year. You have a chance. I think I'd rather spend my time eating that delicious smelling food, Tommy replied, and dancing with my boyfriend, he added, squeezing Carter's hand. I love the variety of decorations, Carter said. You'd think the mishmash of cultures would be chaotic, but it works really well. You should tell Amita that, Kennedy said. This party is all her doing. She's been talking about it for weeks. Oh, it's Amita now, Jason murmured. You finally managed to drop the doctor. Kennedy grimaced. She had me practice, to her face. I still feel awkward about it, though. The corridor opened up to the large room, and the teenage boys halted in awe, almost tripping the older couple. I forget that you've never visited me at work, Kennedy said. We've had school groups in for field trips. Didn't you come last year, Carter? Yeah, but there weren't 5 ginormous Christmas trees in the building then, he said, shaking his head. We're supposed to come in early January, Tommy said absent-mindedly, eyes wide as he took into the 2 full walls of floor-to-ceiling windows. Through them, even with the lighting creating a mirror effect, they could make out the snowy courtyard and the fields beyond. Carter recovered first. They're making us some of the Everdome recipes we brought back with us. Come on. He grabbed Tommy's hand and pulled him to the buffet tables. Kennedy was about to follow them, but Jason tugged her hand, pulling her against him. He pressed his nose to her neck, his fingers trailing down the mostly bare skin of her back as she inhaled deeply. Her knees went weak. Jason, she murmured, have I told you exactly how much I want to tear this dress off you? Kennedy bit her lip to hold in her laughter. Her emerald green dress, styled after the iconic Jessica Rabbit dress, never failed to drive him wild. Many times. But if you tear it, I can't wear it again. The torture would end, he teased. Excuse me, said a new voice. They sidestepped out of the doorway, and she pinned him against the wall. What about you? What about me? That waistcoat and your rolled-up sleeves are doing things to me. He grinned at her. What kind of things? Can I get involved? Kennedy walked her fingers up the buttons on his chest. Absolutely. When we get home. She pulled away. But right now, I want food, and I want to dance with my handsome husband. Jason looked around comically. Where is he? She laughed and caught his chin in her hand. Right, where he's supposed to be. She pressed a chaste kiss to his lips. Let's be sociable. If we must, he groaned dramatically. Oh, good. I was hoping I would get to say hello before the new year. Dr. Amita teased them, and when they approached the near groaning buffet tables, you outdid yourself, Jason said. How will you surpass this next year? Amita waved a hand. Psh, nobody will remember this one next year. I remember that you only had 4 trees last year, and this time you've got 5, Kennedy pointed out. Is it some sort of pardonable offense that you cut down trees to bring inside? Jason asked. Amita raised an eyebrow. I only cut down trees from the side of the family that I don't like, she said dryly. They glared at each other for a moment before Amita chuckled, followed by Jason. You know they're replantable trees, she said. And yet I will continue to pretend you murder your family members every year, he replied. Kennedy rolled her eyes. Sometimes I forget that you two go way back. I should have known Jason would insult someone like that otherwise. Wouldn't have insult someone like that otherwise. Go dance. You haven't fulfilled the romantic quota for the night yet. Amita shooed them onto the dance floor. We can be romantic and eat cheese, Kennedy protested half-heartedly. You like this song, Jason said, sweeping her into his arms. One dance, and then we can feed each other bites of cheese. It doesn't have to be cheese, she replied. Oh, look at the boys. They're so cute. They were swaying slowly in place near the big tree in the middle of the dance floor, looking deep into each other's eyes. We can't let them out cute us, Jason teased. I don't think the word cute ever crossed my mind when it came to you, Kennedy said thoughtfully. Oh, he spun her around under his arm. No, more like hot, handsome, jaw-droppingly gorgeous, she laughed when he flushed. Okay, maybe now you're a little cute. Whoa, watch out. Jason pulled her against him, away from the couple they almost bumped into. The other couple didn't move. Jason frowned. Are you all right? He asked. Kennedy circled them. They're frozen in place, she observed before scanning the room. Several other people were not moving either. Tommy, she breathed, whipping around to the teenagers. They hadn't moved since the last time she'd looked over at them. Oh no, Mom's gonna kill me, she groaned. Running over to them, Jason checked the boy's pulse, and it was extremely weak, but still present. It's not petrification, they're fine. Wasn't there a tree in the middle of the dance floor? Kennedy asked, before shouting, Duck! Over a year of training together and a trust built on saving each other's lives countless times meant he dropped to the floor without even thinking about it. The silvery ball that would have hit him in the shoulders flew past and hit Dr. Amita. She froze on the spot, her face contorted in confusion. People screamed and would have panicked, but Kennedy said, Everyone, please move toward the exit in an orderly fashion. Westmeath had enough strange things happening that people walked quickly, but not fast enough to hurt each other. There were still quite a few people left, all frozen. Where did that come from? He asked as he kicked up from the ground and landed on his feet. The tree, Kennedy said, but I'm not sure which one. She joined him near the boys. The 5 trees seemed to shiver at the sound of her voice. Jason used his shadow power to stretch his senses out and see if they moved. How does a tree that's in a pot move around? He wondered aloud. He felt the attack and movement before seeing it. Grabbing Kennedy's hand, he swung her around to avoid a volley. I can't tell which tree it's coming from, she said, annoyed. Even my shadow senses aren't helping with that. It moves too fast. But only one is moving. The cake, Kennedy exclaimed and ran to the buffet, weaving and dodging around attacks. She lifted up the large red Yule log cake and said, We just need to figure out which one moves, and we can use the cake to mark it. It was a good idea, but a shift in the lighting and shadows made Jason turn away from her. The room had gotten darker as the moonlight from the wall of windows was blocked. Surrounding the room from outside were massive pine trees. The Christmas trees inside stood just over 2.5 meters tall. The ones outside were easily 10 times that height. Kennedy gave a small squeak and said, Well, that's not good. The doors flew inward, followed by a figure in silver full plate armor. He had a long sword on his left hip and a dagger holstered on the opposite side. His helmet was down, but he looked around the room and lifted it before saying, "You need to get out of here. It's not safe." Laughing, still comically holding the cake, Kennedy said, "Jeepers, that was dramatic." And we know. "Kennedy?" the man said, looking surprised. "Albert?" she replied. "For heaven's sake, is everyone I know from Baker magical?" The armor was the symbol of the Gatekeepers, an organization that was dedicated to protecting the world from Aether incursions. Creatures created from imagination and magic could cause havoc if not controlled. The creatures were returned or hunted, while the people or Aetherborn were educated and placed in communities like Westmeath. Not to break up the reunion, but Jason was cut off by a volley of flying ornaments. It seemed the tree took a little time to reload. "Right, sorry. I am Gatekeeper Therian. I tracked part of a rogue Tannenbaum here." He looked up. He looked out to the window and replied, "And it looks like the rest of it just arrived." "Part? You mean this is all one creature? Like a magical pando?" Kennedy asked. When the knight didn't reply, she added, "Pando, the giant organism that's one root systems with tens of thousands of trees?" Yes, he drew his sword and swatted the ornaments that were flying toward them. "Why are you holding a cake?" "It's to throw at the tree so we know which one is which," she said sheepishly. "Ah, good idea. But it's the one next to your husband." Jason whipped around, not used to being snuck up on. He raised a hand in defense, but was struck by a freeze bomb. It didn't hurt, and he could hear and see everything happening. A cake flew into his vision and smashed into the tree, covering it in red icing, and some splashing on Jason's face and hair. "I just have to grab it, and I'll be able to banish the whole thing," Albert announced. Kennedy picked up 2 covers from the warm hors d'oeuvres tray and said, "I'll distract it." With a few long strides, she made it to Jason and whispered, "Sorry, and I'll save you." Then she pecked him on the cheek. "Yum, strawberry icing." Then, try and get it to run to me," Albert said. Banging her trays at the obviously marked tree, she said, "I was being sappy. Are you entertained? Would you please move towards the night? No pining and no barking." The tree let out a horrifying shrieking noise and ran toward Kennedy. "You said distract, not taunt," Albert said, sounding amused. "It's following me, so it's distracted," she yelled. "Come on, tree. Are you that easy to needle?" Despite Kennedy running as fast as she could, the tree was catching up. "Hold on," she said. "It's a tree." Turning around with her makeshift shield, she braced for impact. Surprised, the tree reversed course right into the gatekeeper. Putting his hand on the tree's branches, she shouted, "Gabort!" And the tree disappeared, replaced by an equal mass of clear pine-scented goo. It was followed a second later by the rest of the trees outside, and a wave of goo that covered the windows. Everyone started to wake up, and as Kennedy was distracted, the knight tried to walk away. "Albert, stay and enjoy the party," she said before running to check on Jason and the boys. "If you insist," he replied, making a magical gesture that transformed his armor into formal clothes. The guests who had run away had been trapped in the lobby, but now they were moving back to the party. It wasn't the weirdest thing to happen in Westmeath, not even this year. Later, as everyone was enjoying the good food and drink, minus a strawberry Yule log cake, Jason said, "The thing that bothers me about the whole situation is that I didn't get to make a single tree pun." Kennedy kissed his now clean cheek and replied, "Next time, when you're not frozen. But I always have you covered. Just leave it to me." The end.
Yes, that was so good. Thank you to Jen and Eric for that, and thank you for reading, Molly. That was that was so good. Um, so that just leaves our last and not least adventure story. So we've got Hunting a Sea Glass Heart by Carolyn Sharon. And so the description for it reads, Hunting a Sea Glass Heart is a humorous blend of Pirates of the Caribbean and Golden Girls with a dash of magic. Anne Bonny is changed from the wild young pirate she was 20 years ago and chafes under the bonds of Southern society in Charlestown, Carolina in 1741. The death of her father breaks these shackles, and the subsequent theft of her sea glass heart, a memento from her beloved Mary Read, frees Anne to return to her piratical ways. Sailing from port to port, the menopausal Anne revels in her freedom from corsets and societal constraints while she hunts down her stolen sea glass heart, a traitorous ex-husband, and the now grown child she gave up to adoption. So, please look into Hunting a Sea Glass Heart. Please look into Monsters, Incidental Wedding Guests. And that concludes the gift guide. So thank you to all of the authors who submitted a holiday story. That was such a fun and like festive way to be introduced to your writing. I hope everyone watched that, enjoyed as much as I did, and found some new books for their wish list, because my 2025 reading list is getting lengthy and I'm so excited to read all of these. Um, and I do believe I saw another bingo, so we
Yes.
will get into that now too.
Yes, we had 3 lines of bingo,
Amazing.
which
So I believe
means
that's any from the gift guide.
yes, correct.
Yes, of your choice. So congratulations to the winners. I'll hand it over to you, Molly, just in case you need anything.
Um, yes, so I just want to remind everyone once again, if you won a bingo or if you did a bingo, got a bingo, that you I'll ask you to email us at press Renaissance Press. So PRESSES Renaissance Press, PRESS at gmail.com with your details so that I know who you are and can get you the book that you won. Of course, let me know if you want the ebook or the physical copy, keeping in mind that Canada Post is still on strike. One thing that I will also say for anybody who is watching this back, and you would like to play bingo as well, we will take, I think we're still looking for a double bingo and a full blackout. So if you email us after finding those, after watching this, let's give it a week. So if you watch this and find a bingo anytime up until December 15th, you can email us, put bingo in the subject line, and you are still eligible to win. One more thing I'm going to say before I pass it back to Kalia very quickly is thank you to Kalia specifically. It has been really great working with you on this, and I love your ideas. I love your enthusiasm. So thank you so much for making this happen. And now I will pass it back to you.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for letting me do this. Thanks for letting me work with you guys. It's been so fun. Congrats to the winners. I'm going to sign off here. I know that there are a couple of announcements about some projects and some upcoming events and stuff with Renaissance. But thank you all again for joining. Merry Christmas and happy holidays. I hope you have a good new year. Stay cozy and warm. And yeah, thank you so much for having me. Goodbye.
All right. So, in terms of announcements, I really just have one that I'd like to go over today, and that is Renaissance is changing its name. We are going to be launching very, very shortly the poll for you to select which of the 3 options you feel is best representative of Renaissance, because we do want your input as we move forward in our business transformation. So, look for that on Facebook. Look for that on Instagram. If you're not on socials, you can always email us, and we would be happy to take your input there. So, with that, I am going to say thank you once more to Kalia. Thank you to everybody for joining us today. As well, I think I had one more thing. Nope, can't remember it. So, thank you, everyone, and I hope you have happy holidays.